Nerdish, nerdy, nerd news.
Hi, and welcome to Nerdish, Nerdy, Nerd News. Come along and ride with us as we explore, discuss, and nerd-splain some of the most interesting topics of today.
Hey, I'm Ferg. I spent my youth playing sports, then I moved into IT, so I've been around nerds quite a bit. I hope to have some laughs and learn some things along the way.
Hey, I'm Tim. Hung around with nerds a lot growing up, hoping that it would rub off. I think it kind of did, because I'm kind of nerdish. And as always, my co-hosts.
Hey, thanks Tim. I'm Christian. I've been playing and writing, creating games and Dungeons & Dragons since high school. My idea of a relaxing weekend is playing vids with my buds online. I also used to do complex math troubles with my dad for fun. I am very nerdy. And with us to help us understand the world a little better.
Hi, I'm Jess. I've been programming and using computers since the early 80s. I'm a voracious reader, consistently going through about 500,000 or more words a month. I've got some biochemistry in my background, and I've been using technology for as long as I can remember. I am the nerd.
So you'll hear that. Yeah, just we're doing a new SMR podcast now.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Shit is so weird, man.
And people are like, oh, it sent shivers down my spines. It's like, no, it's just revolting.
Yeah, it's too much.
So we're sitting here with Ryan Godlien. He is one of our friends from when we worked at, we work at SaskTel, but he worked at the help desk with us. Mm-hmm. You know, the front lines of internet support for the province.
Worked is the key word, thank God. I mean, thank goodness, but
and,
whatever.
Ryan actually got into a bunch of cryptocurrencies back in the day.
One of the first adopters.
Yep.
Had his little miner in his basement window. I remember seeing that thing.
I had a lot of them. I had quite a few going, actually.
Yeah, and we're like, what are you doing? You're such an idiot. And you're making like 5 cents a day and blah, blah. And
yeah, I was making hundreds of Bitcoins a day at like 2 cents a piece. It was crazy.
And we're all sitting here going, Ryan, can we have some money? Because now Ryan has all the Bitcoins.
It's funny. Everybody thinks I'm rich, but I still drive a Honda Civic. I wear like $20 shorts. I'm not rich. That's that's for sure. But yeah, I still remember the guy that got me into it was I don't know if you guys remember him, Rob Moran. Yeah. He was the first one who mentioned Bitcoin, and it was at work. We were all sitting around doing I don't know what, and he mentioned this Bitcoin thing. I'm like, what is this? And I went home and researched, and it seemed pretty cool. I unironically actually believed it at the time. I still kind of do, but I still thought it was like, oh, this could be something, but.
And, I mean, you had already invested in a lot of the hardware anyways.
Yeah.
Like most of us.
Ironically, I had a lot of, old video cards kicking around that back in the day, they did
were
work.
Fine, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They did a lot of work. So
you didn't have to buy the top-of-the-line one like you did a year ago.
Don't worry. We'll get to my story. I have a story I always tell everybody, and we'll get there. But, yeah, back in...
Oh, so does Jess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Must have been 2010. So 2011, I spent basically, I'd set up, I didn't even have cases. I just had motherboards sitting open.
Everywhere.
Just had motherboards sitting open out, with video cards. And I'd log into each one and check what they're doing. And it was a lot of fun, but not very profitable in any way.
No.
So...
Well, that was back when they were worth pennies, weren't they?
Literally pennies, like 11 cents, I think, when I got started.
Yeah. And thancfully back then the power wasn't as expensive either.
Yeah, that was the big thing. Yeah, the power was cheap where we were because you used to, do the math. Is this actually worth it? And then you look around and, Saskatchewan actually has pretty cheap power. This is really nice. I'm going to run these bad boys and, this room will be 15 degrees hotter than everywhere else in the house. And if you're cold, go downstairs, kids. You'll be okay.
Yeah, go hang out with the Bitcoin miners.
It'll be all right, yeah. They're loud, but they don't hurt, I swear. Till a fan dies, and then you'll know. And then it's over. Then it gets really hot. Yeah, it was.
So your kids, basically, your kids have grown up around this, then.
Yeah. I mean, on one hand, I try to kind of insulate them because as you guys I'm sure are well aware, there's tens of thousands of
Crypto
coins.
Yeah.
And 99.9% of them are garbage and scams. So I've tried to insulate them on one hand, but also tried to teach them on the other hand. So it's kind of a balancing act, because I don't want to be like, oh yeah, here's $100, go do what you want to have, and you'll own fucking fart coin or something. Pardon my language, but you probably can find fart coin out there. Any weird thing you can think of, there is a coin for it. A coin being the loose term, so to speak. So
yeah, and we kind of got in our last crypto episode kind of explaining what cryptocurrencies were as a basic understanding. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny bringing up my kid too, like same thing, just trying to teach him about this and what it is, and that it's not real money, but it can be money. And
yeah, that's one of the things. And every time I try to explain what cryptocurrency is to somebody, they say, well, you can buy things with it. It's like, yeah, well, what's backing it? Nothing.
Same thing that's backing the US dollar nowadays.
Yeah. But
thin air.
Fiat currency at least has that, there's some kind of backing.
It has a pedigree, right?
Yeah. Whereas crypto is just because people have accepted it, and they accept that it's worth something.
Yep.
So
yeah, it would have never happened if it wasn't for that 2008 crash, right? That's why it was created, apparently, was to fight the banks and all kinds of crazy stuff that they do nowadays. And unfortunately, most of the crypto projects just want to go down the same road. Like, you'll have people crying, oh, we need to regulate this stuff. And then the other hand, oh, we need free market, screw the banks. It's like, well, you can't really have both, right? You have to pick a side with this. So
yeah. So tell us your story.
Okay, I'll move on from where I was. So 2011, mined the stuff. Back in those days, you had to do it in a pool. You had to get together, and basically your percentage of how much you figured out, like you guys talked about in the last episode, of each block, that's what you got. So it was very crude, and you had to trust the guy who ran the pool to not take the money and run. But luckily I did all that. Got pretty heavy into it up to 2013. So in 2013 is when the video cards started to really become obsolete, and things that became real powerhouses were called ASICs. They were basically dedicated machines. So you could buy an ASIC from a provider. I bought one from a place called, Butterfly Labs. I bought a Bitcoin miner. It was going to take about 6 months to pay for itself at the current prices, which you can't really ever do the math on. Well, this will take me 6 months to pay off. Tomorrow it'll take me 4 months. And next week it'll take me 8. But I didn't get it for 11 months, pretty much almost a calendar year. They got delayed. And the way the technology moved, by the time I got it, it wouldn't have even made me 5 cents a day. It wasn't even worth hooking up.
Geez.
This Bitcoin miner in 2013 cost me $720. I paid for it in Bitcoin, 40 Bitcoin at the time.
Oh my.
Yeah. It still slightly stings, but I've told it enough now that anybody can do the math. And as of today, I don't even know that.
And we were just looking at today's price. It's tanked to quite a bit.
25K or something.
27K. Right? So 27,000 per coin.
So $1 million.
Yeah. And well, I imagine the guy that bought the pizza.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's a classic story.
Points.
Yeah. That's a multi-generational wealth, digested well, I hope. But yeah, that's a classic story in the crypto community. It's big, kind of like a holiday, happy pizza day, right? Yeah. But that's one of my stories that I tell a lot of people, is that it sucks. I could have $1 million right now, but hindsight is 2020. What do you do? So
yeah, I really lucked out, because we were moving. We had on our personal computers, my roommate and I, we had our personal computers running. It wasn't in a pool. It was sort of. It was, we were helping people process transactions, and so we were getting paid based on how many transactions that we helped process. So it was like a few bucks a day.
You weren't mining, but you were getting paid in crypto.
Okay, I think they call it a validator or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And so, for the longest time, we were making a couple bucks, a month or a week or whatever, because that was before Bitcoin really took off. That's when it was where it is right now, about the $10,000 to $12,000 before it jumped.
Was it about 5 years ago?
Yeah,
Okay.
It was. And then we got the brand new video cards had come out, and we were old enough on our gaming computers that we went, let's buy these. So we bought them with regular money because we're going to play games on our computers. And then we found out, oh my, these make quite a bit more. So we let them run. And then I took the 2 old cards and I threw them into another just motherboard I had sitting around. It's like, yeah, I can run too. And then it went up to like $80,000 a coin. And of course, because it was so high, there was a bazillion transactions. So we started getting more and more and more for our transactions. And as we were collecting the Bitcoin, it was becoming more valuable, and it paid for those cards in about 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, like you guys were at like $35 to $45 a day.
Holy.
Yeah. It paid for those 2 cards in like 6 weeks, and then we, like I said in the last one, we paid for quite a few like house upgrades and things like that with this. So, and now then, just as it started to drop, it went down to like, I think it was like 60 and then 50, and I was like, yeah,
and that's when I bought a card and started mining.
Well, at least you didn't buy the top.
No, I did, but it's again like him. It was my gaming PC, so it wasn't just
it's
the
not
mining
dedicated,
rig.
so
but
that's
I was
what you sold it to the wife, right? It's not just a gaming PC.
Yeah, I was making $5 a day above and beyond my power usage, so I was like, well, whatever. This is better than nothing.
Doesn't sound like a lot, but when you go, you take it out
you
and
forget about it. You're not not using it.
That's
and then
the
at the end
key.
of the week, you make $35, and after a month, you've made another
$150.
Exactly.
That's over a year. That's a free vacation, man. That's not nothing.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
Yeah.
And that's how I was looking at it. I'm like, it's a few cents a day, whatever. Maybe I'll burn through my chip a little faster because it's running so hot. But
you're gonna buy a new one before that happens anyway.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, so we were like looking at it, and it's like, I'm going to change this over to Canadian funds, and sold it, and so that money was sitting there, and I thought, if it starts going back up, I'll just buy back in, and it dropped like a rock. It went way down to, I think it bottomed out at 20,000 again.
It was I always worked in U.S. dollars because that's what all the markets are in, right? That's where all the liquidity is. So it's kind of a bonus for me when I like I would go cash out $1,000. I'm always thinking in USD, and then I go cash it out, and it's like, you will receive $1,230. Oh, right. Yeah, the conversion rate. I always forget about it till the end. It's always a nice little bonus. I'm like, okay, sign me up. So, yeah, it is quite the drop. That's what it does. It goes. That's the cycle.
Well, and then they made that change. They changed from proof of work to proof of stake.
Yeah, that's Ethereum.
Yeah,
Bitcoin is still proof of work.
Okay. Well,
they did a change called segregated witness. That's way too technical for this, but that was, and the halvening happened. So,
even our what we were doing, where we weren't mining, but we were
because most of those transactions were the Ethereum transactions.
Mm-hmm. So Ethereum is way to go with video card. You could up until they changed to proof of work last summer.
Yeah.
You could still make a decent bid on a regular video card.
That's when ours tanked.
Yeah.
They went from $5 a day to 25 cents a day. And it's just like, I'm not going to burn out my motherboard and my GPU for 25 cents a day.
No, that's definitely not worth it. Yeah, no. They had always planned that, but the big narrative right behind crypto is that it's a power waster, right? There's all kinds of, most of them incorrect, by the way, but there's all kinds of Bitcoin mining takes up more energy than Guatemala for the year. It's all out there, but there's actually studies, proper studies now, that are disputing all the old, not sham studies, myths, but incorrect ones. But that it's not actually that bad. So
no, and a lot of them too were using. I mean, I look at the ones in Alberta. There was a couple guys who had shipping crates full of GPUs, and they were taking old natural gas wells that didn't have enough pressure to pump natural gas into the system, but they had enough natural gas they could run generators off of. So they'd
free power.
Yeah, basically pay for free power.
Yeah.
They're taking the natural gas that wasn't doing anything and using it to power, moving these shipping crates around to different wells in Alberta.
So they just drove around in a truck and just hooked up.
They'd set her down,
They'd
hooked
set
it
it
up to the
down
well.
for a couple months until the generator
it was
kicked
dry.
off.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. That's a good idea.
Cap it, wait for it to charge back up. But while they're doing that, they move. And they've paid for them. Like, they've contacted whoever owns them and paid for the rights to be there. But
I mean, it'd be pennies on the dollar. That person would be like, oh, you want to pay me for something I'm not using? Sure.
That's worthless to me currently.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, my rig setups. And I mean, now there's literal entire companies and corporations and they have stock that you can buy on the New York Stock Exchange or something.
Yeah.
You can basically buy a chunk of their mining profits, but they're everywhere. Mm-hmm. And the hardest thing is cooling. So the most popular place now is close to the North Pole as you can get it without costing an arm and leg for power. Like I've seen all kinds of insane things.
Well, can you imagine if a small nuclear SMR were to be hooked up?
Yeah.
And then you're to put that way Northwest Territories, way north in the Arctic Circle, where it stays cool enough that it doesn't need to have any kind of active cooling. And
that's part of the problem, right? Because everything gets so hot, you have to, the power to mine or whatever you're doing, right?
Is all converted to heat pretty much.
Right. And plus, now the power to cool it down. But if you can do that naturally, right? Just drill some holes in the ice, literally. Let it go, let it rip.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. It's pretty insane to see what from 10 years ago was kind of a meme within our inner circle turned into this.
It was literally us nerds in our basements.
Yep.
With
literally.
with our gaming PCs, or scrap pieces, like you said. You're old, and now it's full on industry in itself. Yeah,
the acceptance is kind of wild. Because I remember, so to continue my own, story, after the minor, I got very discouraged, and I just stopped everything, and I just left what I had. In 2015, what I just had Bitcoin, and thanks past me, I decided I should probably buy some of these other cryptos just in case. So I ended up basically diversifying into 25% into whatever the top coins were at the time. I think Ethereum was one of them. One might have been Litecoin. And,
Dogecoin.
No, that one I didn't. Luckily, that one wasn't high enough.
You avoided that one.
But and then I kind of forgot about it again until 2017, and that is where things sort of picked up for me. I would log into it every 3 months and be like, oh, sweet, I could, go on a vacation, log in 6 more months. Oh, okay, maybe pay off my car. All right, log in again and be like, okay, this is what the hell's going on here?
I can pay off my house.
Well, it never got that high, but it was I could pay off all my cars and all my credit cards. I'm like, all right. So I started doing some digging, and I got heavily into things called ICOs. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it was.
Go ahead. We're the nerds.
It was peddling crap. Back at the day.
Okay, let's not go deep into your crap.
No. It was kind of it was a play on IPO, right? Initial public offering. This was called initial coin offering. These projects would do up a big, bad, 35-page white paper. You'd read through it. They would explain why their coin was going to change the world. Then they would sell you a piece of the pie. Mm-hmm. Then that coin would get listed on an exchange. Hopefully, you're hoping a popular one. And you would make money. And that's kind of what I did for 2 years. That's all I did for about 18 hours a day for two straight years.
Sort of like venture capitalist.
It is kind of you could call it angel investing. Yeah. There's a lot of different words, but it was basically just throwing money at stuff that didn't sound ludicrously insane, had people who didn't seem like psychos running it, and just hoping. There were a couple that were like, okay, this is... I actually got into the ICO of Chainlink. That one's kind of popular for the Link Marines or whatever they call them nowadays, but I got my Chainlink tokens for 12 cents. And I don't even know what they were dollars, but they were up to $20 or something.
Oh, yeah.
In the last bull run. I never held on to them, of course, that long because, not smart enough. But that was the goal, try to make money. And you lost a lot.
Yeah.
But that's all I did for basically 2 years.
Did you come out ahead after 2 years?
Yes.
Wow.
So I was faced with a decision in 2017 because I was working with you guys in SaskTel, and they shut down our office here in Moose Jaw. Mm-hmm. and I was off on sick leave, and I was due to come back. And I was facing the choice, like, I was doing pretty good at it. Like, and I'm like, do I just do this full time, or do I come back? I'd have to commute. I'd have to drive to Regina, add 2 hours to my day. It was already working shift work.
Yeah.
Right. I worked at the help desk. So one week I could work at 7 a.m. and the next week I could work at noon. Then the next week at 3 p.m. It was not cool.
No.
So
we all escaped just before you.
Yeah. Well, I know. You guys kind of pulled the ladder up on me there. I was waiting and waiting and waiting. And
we waved.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did give me a friendly wave, no doubt. You grinned and...
Suckers!
How's it going on there, buddy? So I said, screw it. I'm going to just do this. And yeah, like I tell people nowadays, I'm not rich. I don't have enough where if I stop today, I would run out. I cannot retire. I still have to do this. But I have enough where I'm comfortable enough that if I need something and I want it and it's not ludicrously expensive, I'll buy it. I kind of make about the same as I was making.
Yeah.
At Sastel. So it pays the bills was my motto. And
yeah,
I get to work for myself, set my own hours, and take weeks off, or like now, take months off where the market is just sort of, right? I don't need to do anything. So just sit on what I've got and be careful with it, and away we go. But yeah, you have to have nerves of steel.
Oh, any day trader, any investor,
it's a waiting game. It's like, and then
patience is king,
and research.
You have to go like, do I sell it now?
Yeah.
Do I hold on? Is it going to go more?
Yeah.
In my experience, you have to set a number, and you have to stick to that. If you just go, well, I'm going to sell when my gut tells me, your gut will lie to you. Every single time, you have to say to yourself, I'm going to buy it at $20K. I'm going to sell it when it hits 25. And if you don't stick to that, you're going to get burned.
Yeah. Oh,
in
look,
my
it's
experience.
at 26. Oh, look, it's at 27.
Exactly.
Oh, it's at 21.
Yep.
Oh, it's at 12.
Yep. Oh, it'll come back. It'll come back.
Yeah. And there's an awful lot of people right now that are, when they bought it when it was like 30, 40, that are just, that's what they're doing.
They're sitting on it, yeah.
Yeah, it's today I am short. I believe it's going to go sub 20K again. But I think I'm going to pick up a big chunk of it, because nowadays I don't do the ICO stuff. It is worth the time invested, but I burnt out. Like I mean, I'm already kind of old and fat, but I aged like 10 years in those 2 years. People, it's funny, you watch the news and people are like, oh, the Dow Jones dropped 0.5% today, the biggest drop in the last, and it's like, dude, I just lost 0.5% when you finish that sentence. Like, you have to have a lot of patience, and it's too volatile. So I literally just trade BTC and ETH right now.
Yeah.
And I don't day trade because I think that's too risky. I just I call it a swing trade. Yeah. And I'll be in a trade for a couple weeks, couple months, something like that. And I'm very conservative with what I got, because if I lose it, then I got to go back to work. And I don't want to do that.
No.
Yeah.
No, once you've left that, and that's kind of everyone. Like, once someone has left the job market like that, and they're working for themselves, it is.
You're still working for a bit of an ass, but you know this one.
Yeah, quite well.
Most people I know.
He's lazy. He smells a little bit.
Doesn't cook great
drinks
meals.
too much coffee. Oh, cook? You cook?
Well, macaroni, don't you?
Chicken nuggets.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a pretty wild ride. I couldn't have even imagined it, and it, going through it from beginning to end, it just sounds really crazy. People.
Well, and I mean, not to delve completely into your medical issues, but McDonald's was not your friend.
No,
for someone to have that happen to them, and you getting your issues at the hospital where they almost tried to kill you.
They did. They murdered me.
Not to besmirch the health system, because they are a great health system.
I don't blame the person who did it. I really don't.
It was an accident.
Yeah, I mean, they're overworked.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, they injected adrenaline directly into my IV instead of into my muscle.
Muscle.
Yeah, I looked up, and based on my weight and stuff, I should have died.
Yeah,
it was like anybody that this happened to that was 300 pounds that got they died. Their heart just exploded. Yeah, they're like, I'm like, man, my heart must be insanely strong. I'm lucky because should have been a goner.
Well, and especially with the stress of the help desk and,
Well, I was working midnights at the time.
I know.
Yeah.
And, I thought it was easy.
Yeah.
And it was a lot easier work, and it was less stress work.
We did love our graves.
The sleeping, man. When I worked graveyards, I could sleep 8 hours, and then I could sleep 4 more at night before work. It was just unnatural.
It was. We both did graves, and I did graves for a couple of years when I was in Regina, and I loved them. I traded all the old guys for them because they didn't want them, and I could go and sit and watch TV. But the sleep was the weirdest thing. We'd work 3 12.5-hour shifts, and the fourth day you slept for like 19 hours. I'd get home at 7 a.m. and I'd sleep.
Yeah, you basically take one day off, right?
One whole day off. It's like, well, great. I only worked 3, but technically I lost the fourth one.
Exactly. So
and then you're kind of back to a normal sleep rhythm for 2 days, but then you've got to get back into nights again for the.
I know.
So really,
that was the hardest part. Was the weekends. It's like I want to sleep and be up with the kids during the weekend, and it's like, but then Sunday night comes and then you're like,
I've got to be back at work.
I messed up, man.
Jess, you didn't really.
I had to work a few graves.
Yeah.
I was lucky I could trade most of them away. I don't do well working at night.
You're welcome.
I like you. I absolutely love it. It worked so perfect. I would come home. It was 8 o'clock. The kids are getting ready for school.
I can say goodbye, kiss them on the forehead.
Exactly. Go to bed. I wake up about 3:30.
They're coming home.
It was awesome, but the sleep was so janky.
It was weird. Yeah. It was the off days. That was the problem.
Yeah.
If you could keep that same sleep schedule and sleep while they're doing their daytime stuff. Yeah. But then what are you going to do from midnight till 8 a.m. while the whole house is asleep? Just creep around the house?
I know.
Oh, my kids are so cute.
That's what I tried to do at first, and it's like, I need a glass of water. Oh, you dropped the glass. Oh, no, everyone's awake. And, it's over.
Yeah. But yeah, that's when you started to step into your stuff and be like, I'm going to step. Did that play into any of your decisions too?
Absolutely, yeah, because I didn't think at the time that was causing issues, but thinking back after, because I was off for a good year and a half.
Well, it was, and they're trying to figure it out. That was the
that was the fun.
They really never did. I got some sort of like subcutaneous shots for like a year, and then just went away. It's never come back. So at one point you had thought it was the McDonald's onions. This was the funniest thing, and you loved McDonald's onions and burgers so much. And I'm like, so was it? Have you had any since, or have you still like? I try to avoid onions, but I can have them. They just don't make my stomach. Which my mom told me afterwards. She's like, "Oh yeah, it does that to me too." I found out all kinds of medical stuff after the fact.
Yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, our family's completely allergic to water.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I've got a story. If we're gonna go down this rabbit hole, since if we're done with the crypto stuff,
we'll come back to it.
Story. But yeah, I'm working for Zastel. Mm-hmm. I'm 27. I cannot swallow even water. I swallow, it goes down and back out.
Oh God!
I go to the doctor, and they do tests, and they're like, "Your thyroid is giga-wrecked," and I'm like, "What?" Like, okay. And then so I tell my mom, she's like, "Yeah, I had thyroid cancer when I was 24." I'm like,
hello.
This might have been something you. Oh, Granny had it too.
Things you tell.
You might have had to tell me this.
Things you tell your kids.
I know. It's like, man, how do you not mention this in passing? Like, by the way, maybe something you should watch out for. So yeah, since I was like 13, my thyroid has just been. So yeah, that kind of explained a lot. You guys remember when I used to always sleep in the afternoon after lunch? Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I couldn't help it.
Oh man,
because my thyroid was like, "You ate food, we're done."
Yeah, it's nap time.
Yeah, it's over. Bam. So yeah. Well, then also this is kind of.
Well, weren't you the one that was drinking a liter of Coke a day too, or was that?
No, that
was Darren.
Yeah, yeah.
That was Darren or Craig.
Craig, yeah.
Or Craig, one of you who like showed up to work every day with a
bring a case of Coke.
Yeah, 2-liter bottle and just like.
Yeah, and then he switched to like Monster and those energy drinks.
That's Darren. I'm still scared for Darren to this day. Yeah. He drank them like water. I'm like, your heart is going to explode, man.
Well, and now that they're showing like these drinks are like they're terrible for you.
I've had Monster 3 times in my life when I had to stay awake. all three times, 24 hours later, I had the worst rage of my life. Everything made me angry. And I'm like, what is happening? Those damn monsters. Why do I drink that stuff?
Talking about working graves, I bought a monster to take with me because I was like, okay, I'm tired. I'm going to make it through the night. The next morning, I didn't even finish the monster in one can, right? It's a tall boy can. I think I had like 2/3 of it. Didn't even finish it. I went home. I went to bed. There was no one in the house, and I was having auditory hallucinations. It sounded like there was like people, like a party in the living room. Like you couldn't hear what they were saying, but it was just like that sort of low. Yeah. And so I'd get up and I'd go walking out, like, what the hell? I'd left
He's ready to start yelling at all his roommates.
Well, there's no roommates. They're out at work because it's during the day. And I swore from that moment on, it's like never again. And I have not touched the stuff.
That's my joke now. That's my joke now. When I have a conversation with him that's a little off the edge, is here, have a monster drink.
Oh my. It was not fun because I couldn't fall asleep. I was tired and I wanted to fall asleep, but I kept hearing people.
Oh, but that's my experience compared to you guys is the total opposite. Like when we had Red Bull as a sponsor for the Gamers Expo one year.
Right, yeah.
And I had, how many did I end up? I think it was 18 in 3 days.
What?
Like
they brought a pallet of
a pallet.
So we're talking like...
We were giving cases of 6 of them to every person who came in the door.
4 feet by 4 feet, and it was
Must have been a year I missed.
5 feet high. Yeah. Okay, a pallet, and it was all the different kinds. It was like the regular, the sugar-free.
Every time Chris walked by the pallet, Chris grabbed a drink. And
This Chris.
Oh,
and
boy.
So I'm talking about myself in the third person because really that weekend wasn't me. I was awake for 72 hours straight.
Lovely. Yeah. That sounds like a lot of fun.
It was a real good nerd gaming expo.
Yeah.
Even with people drinking that stuff like it was water, we still had about a third of a pallet because they brought more. Because
they're trying to hook you. That's why, right?
Mm-hmm. We went through a bunch, and she's like, "Oh, I got another half a pallet." So she brought that. We had to give away like a third of a pallet. People were like, "Oh, okay, well, we'll see ya. Do you want to take some Red Bull?" Oh, well, can I? As much as you want.
As much as you can carry.
Somebody comes back with their truck and back.
Well, one guy came back like 3 times. He took like, I think it was like 8 cases. But it's like, yeah, take it.
Wow.
But yeah, my experience with the energy drinks is a little different than your guys'. And I don't know.
So were you just like, jacked up for 72 hours straight? Just like, hey guys, you want to play the games? Let's go. Hey, you want to go?
But then there'd be times when it would be like the cartoons, and he'd be sitting there and his eyes would be open, but he wouldn't be there.
Okay, that's creepy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You there, Christian?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
What do you need?
Yeah, I'm just processing.
But if you had those gaming expos,
we've stepped away from it, but it's still going on. There's a whole new board and everything.
That's awesome.
Talon Regent, our NDP, he's still running as the vice president. So
that is so cool.
We handed it off to the next gen.
Yeah,
and you guys built that from literally scratch.
Yep.
Yeah, and they're doing a really good job.
Darren's basement.
I was literally going to say the first one I went to was Darren's basement. There was 8 of us, and wooden tables and splinters and CRT monitors everywhere.
Yeah,
because that must have been
was like right 2005, 2006, somewhere in there.
I went the first year after I started at SaskTel, so it would have been like probably 2007, I think.
Yeah, I started in 2007, and that was you guys had done it twice, I think, once or twice.
Yeah, that would have been. We probably went to the first one together then, because
I never went to the one in Darren's basement.
Okay.
We'd switched to the Scout Hall.
Right, the hall. I remember the hall because that's the first time I got a picture of the back of my head and realized I was balding faster than my dad. I remember it very vividly because he took pictures for Facebook, and I was on there, and there's the back of my head, and I'm like, oh my God.
That's my head.
I went home and I got my kid to take a picture of the top of my head, and I was like having a existential crisis. I'm like, I'm going bald. Oh no.
And you were what, 24, 25?
Yeah. 2007 I would have been 25, yeah.
Oh, Ryan, welcome to the world.
Oh, I am wizened now, sir.
Yeah. Oh, those were the days, though. I remember that Scout Hall. I remember because it was 24 hours. It was like 3 nights, 3 days, 2 days, 2 nights, starting at Friday evening and going all the way to Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, and some people stayed there the whole time.
Josh. I remember walking in the morning one day, and he was curled up on the floor with a sleeping bag, passed out.
Had we known had we known what we know now,
Yeah.
think of all the computers that were sitting there.
Oh yeah.
If we'd just told everyone to put their...
Mine some Bitcoin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine? There was 40, 50 computers in that room.
We could have paid for GAX 10 times over.
We could have bought Moose Jaw.
Yeah, that's how she
Hindsight, right?
goes. That's how she goes, man.
Yeah, the computing power that was in that room.
Yeah, because everybody was obviously nerded up, right? We all had big rigs with big cards that barely fit in the case, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone was like...
Full size computers, not just laptops.
No,
'cause the laptops weren't powerful.
No
enough.
mid ATX here. No. Full ATX cases, man.
Yeah.
I remember carrying mine in.
Yeah.
That sucker was like 50 pounds, man.
And then the monitors. Only the people that had spent a bunch of money had LCDs. Everyone else still had the big tubes.
Yep. The CRT.
Yeah.
I am shocked I never dropped that thing. Because it's so awkward to carry. Like, do you
Yeah.
carry it with this facing you?
And not tiny.
No.
Not tiny.
Oh, well, we were dedicated. We had
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were dedicated nerd gamers.
Yeah.
What did we even play back then, man?
Oh, that was Unreal.
Yeah, I kept getting smoked by somebody
A
who.
lot of World of Warcraft was being played.
Yeah.
Ooh, I missed that one. Yeah, I didn't play WoW. I mean, I played
League
it, but
didn't
not
come for quite a few years.
Yeah, I remember the League days where I was way
didn't
too competitive
That
about
showed
it.
up when
At
we
the
were at the
church.
church.
Yeah,
The
Church,
church
the church
yeah.
basement, yeah.
Even then, I think we played some of the Red Alert, like the
Yeah, Red Alert and
the strategy games,
RTS.
RTS strategies.
Right. The church was my favorite because
Yeah.
the big, the video game consoles were up on the stage.
stage.
Yeah.
The big projector.
Well, and then
screen.
we had our own little League of Legends tournament, and we were watching up on the screen.
That's right.
And it was the delayed because it was the tournament view.
Right,
so
the 3-minute delay.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that was exciting. I got way too competitive about that just because I wanted to beat Craig.
Well, and we also had some guys from Regina that were coming in that were like platinum level playing.
Yeah,
So
there was some good.
Well, and I mean,
I still have those guys on my friends list. Actually, I don't play League of Legends. 'cause
I talked to one
It's
of
a
them.
rage-inducing game.
one of them.
When I
one of
log
them-
in, I see them on there.
yeah, one of them, Mark Romanchik.
Mark is on my
Yeah, he's a manager for Sostel. He used to be a technician, but he's the manager
That's
of Regina
awesome.
now. I
No
talk
way.
to him fairly regularly. So,
So when I blow my Bitcoin, I know who to talk to. Then. All right, Mark.
yeah,
Or should I call you Talon X or whatever he is? Maybe give me a job or I will tell people about your profile.
I'll tell people about the things you said to me while we
You
were
silver
gaming.
scrub. Yeah,
Yeah, but
crazy, man.
so what do you think the future? Like, I mean, Jess and I are sitting on a bunch of processing power, but we can't do anything because of the systems we currently use, which is.
wow, and the cost for the power cost versus the return is almost.
Is
like,
there things
negative.
we, as processing power people, do you know if there's things we can do?
Mine a different coin.
Yeah.
Seriously, the little guy got priced out of Bitcoin mining probably 3 or 4 years ago, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Well, the
Mining and then the
the validating. I actually don't know
We
that
can't
much
even-
about that side.
yeah.
So I wouldn't even-
our validating that we use currently is
Yeah,
But there's lots of coins to mine that, I mean, unironically, Dogecoin is still a proof of work coin that requires, because Dogecoin is basically like Bitcoin Junior. It's
yeah. The big difference is that they don't have a cap to how many coins there are.
right.
And what was the other thing? The difficulty of the calculations are way lower.
Yes.
Like in a Bitcoin, as they become more coins out there,
Yep.
they ramp up that value that makes it harder.
Well, that's based on the hashing power. So, yeah, I was going to get into this a little bit because I called it the halvening. So about every 4 years, the block reward. So back in 2011, the reason that we were all stacking these Bitcoins is because you could get about 500 every block, and a block was about every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's actually coded. The algorithm is coded so that it wants to produce a block every 15 minutes. So if the whole network starts going, everybody's bringing these miners online, and we're mining a block at 10 minutes, then the difficulty will increase to compensate. But the total, they call it hashing power, the total hashing power of everybody mining Bitcoin today is, I don't even know the number. It's like exahashes or
it's
something.
huge,
I was
yeah.
going to look it up, but it's like you running your card is about 1 It's about 0.000000000000001% of the hashing power of the network.
So minuscule.
There's too much overhead for the little guy, the power, because these guys, they go and sign big contracts directly with the government, right? You know, we'll pay, who even knows, 9 cents a watt. I don't even know what it is, but they'll get a contract for like 2.
Yeah.
Right? So I honestly would say mine a different coin.
Yeah.
Litecoin, I think, is still proof of work coin. So you could do that one. But a lot of these coins are going to follow when Ethereum didn't go to proof of stake because of the environmental impact.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. It's on blockchain.com for Bitcoin, 400 million terahashes per second.
Terahashes. Per second, yeah. So that's the whole, everybody in the world is mining Bitcoin, so the difficulty will keep going up.
And so what was your card doing?
Yours is probably doing mega hash.
Yeah, mega hash.
Yeah, I think you were at like
I think the
highest you had
3080 that I have was 90.
Yeah, 90 mega hash. This is terahash. So it's like,
and 411,719,409 terahash.
Yeah. So like literally 10 to 12 power between what you're doing, right? So that's what I was. So every 4 years, it's called the halvening. The blocks produce half the amount of Bitcoin. So it's down now, I think, to
it's at 2 or 3, isn't it?
12 and a half, I think.
Oh, okay.
So I think coming up. So what happened, and that typically puts upward pressure, right? Just by the fact that all of a sudden there'll be less supply.
So is it kind of the different, like when as comparative to current financial thing would be like when a stock splits? Is it kind of similar to that, or is it almost the opposite?
6.25 right now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it's going to go down to 3.1.
Yeah. Next one's expected to happen in April again.
Yep. I was about to say the halvening's coming up. About every 4 years, the block amount gets cut in half. But they say something like 99% of the Bitcoins that have already been mined
are lost.
Well, they say up to, I think, 7% of all the Bitcoins that are in circulation are just gone. They're sitting on hard drives. Somebody screwed up the transaction.
That was that one guy we talked about who had offered millions of dollars to the city to allow him to dig in their
archaeological
stupid that
dig.
They haven't let him.
Yeah.
I mean, there's hundreds of millions of dollars sitting there. He could give them 25% of it.
He was going to give them, like, I think it was a third of it.
Yeah. Smart guy.
Yeah.
That's sad,
if
man.
If he could find that hard.
You can only imagine how many people that's happened to, right?
Yeah. Well, even like yourself, a computer that you were using for whatever, and then you just forgot for 2 or 3 years. And
luckily for me, I never threw any away.
You never threw any away, but
I true story. I have the first ever PC I bought in 2000 in a big, those big plastic bins in my basement. It has a 64 meg video card in it because you couldn't run one game with a 32-bit MIG.
Yeah.
So I had to get the 64. This thing cost me $2,500, and it's got Sound Blaster 16.1.
I was cleaning up some old stuff, and I found a box tucked away, and it was like, oh, here's a old hard drive. I pull it out, and I'm looking at it. And it's like, this is weird. It doesn't have how big it is. So I had to look it up on the internet for the model number. 40 megabytes.
Yep. Yep. I have a 30 megabyte hard drive, baby. Let's go.
40 megabyte hard drive. And now when you're looking at them, they're, you can get a 16 terabyte hard drive.
Oh, I always have stories, but I'm in high school. My parents just get their first computer. It was the Pentium 3, 100 hertz or 120 with the turbo button.
Oh, yeah. You got to have that turbo button.
Turn the turbo on. I discovered, I was big into wrestling, so I discovered WAV files. You could download WAV files of the wrestlers' intro music, and I downloaded 8 of them and filled up the hard drive. They had their computer friend come over, and he's like, there's 8 songs on your computer taking up all the space. We'll have to delete them. And I'm like, no, please. Of course, I had no concept of the size of WAV files versus the hard drives. So
and even at that point, I don't think they had. they were just getting CD writers, and they were like $2,000 for a CD writer.
Yeah, and that was
you had a CD player, but you didn't have a CD writer.
The RW was the big one.
Yeah,
the rewritables,
and it was only 600 megs.
Yep. So, those were the days, man.
600 megs, or if you did it as WAV files, it was 12 songs.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a CD. It was a music CD.
Yep, exactly. Crazy. We did have an episode about how technology has changed and advanced, and just that number, how it's become like
scary.
A huge number.
If you actually think about it, like you think when I was starting high school, right? My youngest kid literally started high school this year, and what he has compared to what I have is mind shattering.
Yeah.
To think about when his kid starts high school, like I can't even. We'll be old boomers being like, that VR, that's terrible. I'm going to go play a real round of golf, not VR golf. Which I have a VR headset, and I love it, by the way. I play a round of golf whenever I can. But yeah, it's
just a cell phone. A smartphone, which you don't actually say anymore because they're all smartphones, pretty much.
Exactly.
Everything that your smartphone can do. If you look, like I've seen pictures, and I'm sure people have seen on the internet. It shows you this one device contains everything that's in this picture.
Yep.
And it's like a stack of stuff.
Yep. I was having this conversation with my youngest this summer, and I sent him a picture of the Nokia cell phone. And I'm like, here's what it looked like. And there was only one game on it. That was the Snake game.
Yep.
And you can download that as an app. And he's like, oh, this is kind of fun. And I'm like, yeah, you see those 2 arrow buttons on the phone? That's how you controlled it, not your fancy touchscreen phone. He was just kind of just blown away.
Or actually, like his roommate Graham had just done. We were playing. We all started playing Starfield.
Oh yeah,
which
okay,
is the new Bethesda game. He went out to his brother's house or
He's
whatever to house
taking care of a
it.
dog for a friend.
Yeah,
they were gone for the weekend,
and he used his phone to play Starfield with his Xbox controller connected to his phone,
streaming from his home
PC to his.
Okay, that is crazy and cool.
Yeah, he burnt through his entire month's worth of data in 2 days.
Not even 2 days. It was like one night.
Yeah,
well, that's because we get scammed here in Canada.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what they can do now.
Yeah, and I know.
To sit there on your phone with an actual controller and play a video game that shouldn't be possible on your phone.
Yeah. That's so nuts. There must be some kind. That's insane.
Well, it was just streaming it, so it's not the phone. All the phone's doing is being a monitor.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy. Man. But yeah, I mean, that's the stuff. That,
pretty soon we'll never have to leave our house.
Can 10-year-old you even dream of that? Like,
dude, 10-year-old me was trying to beat Super Mario 3.
Exactly.
Hey, 10-year-old me thought that the original series Star Trek was high technology.
It was.
Yeah.
It was crazy for its time, honestly.
Yeah.
Computers that talk? No. Computers? What are those?
Yeah. I can't even imagine that they say we're probably 30 or 40 years away from the singularity, right? That's where you can download your brain into a metal vessel. Who knows? Maybe we'll live forever. Doesn't that sound fun?
Something that's really weird that I saw talking about singularity, I find it kind of morbid, but anyways.
It is if you think about it.
This is the podcast for morbidity.
There are people that they're at end of life. Mm-hmm. They know they're at end of life. And so what they're doing is they're reading books, and all their conversations are being recorded. So whenever they talk to somebody, it's being recorded, and then that's being fed into the new AIs, like ChatGPT type engines.
That stuff is whack.
And then what'll happen is that model is being used to create a personality.
Like virtual grandma?
Yeah. So if you want to talk to grandma, you just have to text her, and it'll text back, and it'll text just like talk just like her, use the same inflections, and of course with the voice synthesis, I did it to Christian, and it didn't take much.
We had an episode.
You can make it so it sounds like them. It is just creepy. I find it morbid, but I guess
I kind of agree with you.
Apparently, I gave my house to Jess. That's what the AI told him.
Nice house. Hook me up, dude.
Yeah. So, but it's like it is. I just read that the other day, and I thought, oh my god, that is just morbid and creepy.
I guess I'm going to tell my kid to go to school for psychiatry, because that sounds like therapy in a box, because that's creepy, man.
Yeah.
Oh, grandma died. That's okay. We'll just flip her on tomorrow and talk to her.
Just turn her on.
That's so messed up, man.
That's what Grandpa said.
We will edit that out in post. How dare you? That is my. I actually downloaded the what you call it, diffusion or something. The one and I've asked it to make Stable Diffusion. I've asked it to make some pictures, and I'm still working with it, but it's pretty
if
nuts.
you preload that, if you take preloaded pictures, so take yourself and get pictures of you in front of like a single wall, it's a single color, doing various poses and shape and stuff like that. You load that in, and it will take you, and you can say, okay, now take those, draw a picture of Ryan throwing a javelin at a giant, and
oh my God,
it'll do it, and you'll look just like you.
Oh man,
the opportunities for D&D. Do you still play with the boys?
I've tried. I tried. So I only have the one left now. The 3 older ones are gone. I tried so hard because he's kind of nerdy, and he has some really nerdy friends, and I'm like, dude, D&D is so popular now. You guys want to try it? Like when it blew up, I was like, oh yeah, here we go. Like every Sunday we're gonna play. No, he won't do it. I'm like, man, come on, you could kill some goblins.
Yeah.
No, I'm sad because it never worked out that way. There's still time. He's 14, so
yeah. Maybe he's a late bloomer.
I hope so. I always wanted to DM for the kids.
There's still hope for him being a nerd.
Oh, you died. Sorry, roll a new character. Can't smack you around, but I can kill your D&D character, boy.
Yeah. Take that.
Do the dishes or you lose 1 HP.
So moving back as we start to wrap up here a little bit, what are your predictions for the crypto world in the next year, 5 years, 10 years?
I don't know. I mean, I think...
Is it here to stay?
Oh, yeah. The genie is 100% out of the bottle. You can't put it back in at this point. And that was one thing I was going to say is in 2017 when I started to do this stuff, I would never tell anybody. And people would ask what I do, and I would literally say, I'm a commodities broker. Because Bitcoin is technically a commodity, right? And they'd be like, oh, you buy oil and stuff? Yeah. Oil contracts, right?
Yep.
Now it's like, oh yeah, I trade crypto. People are like, holy shnikes. Like, tell me everything you know and everything about. I'm like, it's just a complete 180. Because if I said that in 2017, people are like, oh, you do the Bitcoin?
The Bitcoin.
Yeah. Oh, how's that for you? You buy any drugs with it?
Yeah.
Like, oh boy. So
that's when you say, not recently. Why, do you want some?
Yeah. I actually funded a small war in Guatemala.
I accidentally sent his address to a Guatemalan warlord, and oh boy, that's So
no offense to anyone from Guatemala.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty crazy to see the adoption. And I mean, every year, just more and more people are getting into it, right? The Zoomers are buying up. I mean, I can't even get into the stupid crap they do, like Pepe coin, and so there's still a goofy side to it.
I'm seeing it on more and more websites where it's like, pay with your credit card, or you can pay with crypto if you want.
That's the big thing, is that because the big thing was always we got to beat MasterCard and Visa, right? Like they do X amount of transactions per second, we have to scale up to beat them. Well, when MasterCard and Visa get involved in the action and they're like, oh yeah, we'll build our own like node, and you're like, oh, okay, this is kind of serious. Like so how far it's come is pretty amazing. I don't think it'll ever be like, no government is going to say, okay, our official dollar is now Bitcoin. They're all trying to move towards their own stable coin, right?
Right.
Even here in Canada, they're trying to talk about creating their own
not necessarily a crypto coin, but some kind of digital.
Well, it's a cryptologic, like a blockchain based.
Okay.
It's basically the definition of a stable coin. It would be $1 redo coin or whatever the hell, and it would be worth $1, right? So
instead of a loonie, it'd be called a moose.
Who knows? So they're trying to get there, and it's all about control, because the biggest story that I always fight back against is like, oh, crypto is used for so much crime. And I'm like, have you heard of this thing called cash? It's used for like 90% more crime.
Yeah, do you know that they ship container-fulls of bills? They smuggle them, and it's like...
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why when you're watching all these TV shows like Smugglers Get Caught and all these... there's people with cash
Yep.
tucked in their pants, not USB drives with crypto on it.
Exactly. Like the blockchain technology is infinitely more traceable than cash. Just at a level, you can follow the transaction from node to node to node to node to node. All you got to figure out is who owns the last one, and you got the guy. And there's IPs attached.
Yeah, his IPs attached.
It's not hard.
You narrow it down to like a city and even a street.
Yeah. Have you ever heard a story about a guy? These hospitals that try to get scammed.
Mm-hmm.
You ever heard the story of, the guy got away with it? No, they found the guy because it's it's friggin' easy.
You're going to pay me in Bitcoin for the ransomware I have on here, and they contact the police or the FBI, whoever it is, and they'll pay it, and then they'll track it.
Exactly. They'll be like, sure thing, buddy. Here you go. Follow it. Oh, there's the node. Here's the wallet it's in. Yeah. Who's accessing this wallet? Oh, they're trying to use a VPN because VPNs are the way to go. And we got them. It's easy. So I always fight back against that story.
I think they should have public executions for them instead of just the quiet disappearing of them.
Ooh. That's a topic for another podcast. Yeah. That one might add about an hour.
Yeah, crime and punishment. Yeah,
crime and punishment.
Yeah, which is what
pay-per-view.
What was that Jason Statham one where they had the road race one?
Oh, that was Death Race.
Death Race. Yeah. That's what it sounds like to me. This is just a step down from Death Race.
Put them all on an island and see who comes out.
Yeah, we tried that. Yeah. We tried that with Australia.
Yeah,
100 years. They tried that 100 years ago.
Sorry about that, mates. Yeah, that was it's. That's the one I always fight back against is the crime one because it's just not true. It's so much easier to track, and there's going to be crime with any currency.
That's what people want is money. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, people have been beat to death over their Pokemon card collection, right? So anything of value is going to attract criminal conduct. That's just the way it is, sadly.
Well, this has been fantastic getting back in with you, Ryan.
Yeah,
and hopefully
awesome.
We can have you on another time, talk about whatever, crime and punishment.
I'm pretty nerdy.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. And
thanks again for coming.
My co-host, Jess.
Thanks again for letting us into your ear holes with this nerdish, nerdy nerd news podcast. Check out our website at wildshot.ca.
You can find us on all the socials under Nerdish, Nerdy, Nerd News. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can also subscribe and support us at patreon.com/nerdish to get more bonus content, show notes, and merch.
If you'd like to send us topics for future episodes or comment about our existing ones, please email us info@wildshot.ca. And remember, stay nerdy.
Nerdish, nerdy, nerd news.